Hey there, Bruins fans! Welcome back to BNG Hockey, where it's always black and gold. It's been over a month since David Backes was waived, if you can believe it, and we haven't heard that much about him since. We do know that he did not report to the Providence Bruins, and that was a mutual decision between the team and Backes. The team doesn't want Backes getting injured because they're trying to trade him, and frankly, Backes really just doesn't want to play for the Providence Bruins. It's really embarrassing for him, I can imagine. He was once a top-line center and a captain, and now to play in the AHL at the age of 35, not really what he's looking for. So I want to dive into the possibility of David Backes being moved at the trade deadline and talk about some of the teams that might actually be interested in adding Backes. It's been reported by several NHL insiders that multiple teams would be willing to take on the contract of David Backes. Now this can be done a few ways. We've seen Patrick Marleau from the Leafs to the Hurricanes for a 7th round pick, so you're getting nothing in return. And the Leafs had to include a 1st round pick, but the Canes took on the full contract of Patrick Marleau. That just had to be done. If you really wanted to get that contract away, that's what it costs in a deal. Or you can see a trade like we saw between Calgary and Edmonton, where they swapped James Neal and Milan Lucic. That's a bad contract for a bad contract. The Bruins are definitely looking for option A, just getting rid of the money for no return. You're not looking to take on a guy like a Louis Eriksson or another bad contract at this time. That would pretty much be pointless, because at that point you should just keep David Backes and look into sending him to Providence or keeping him on your bench or just buying him out next year. There's no point in swapping it with another bad contract when you only have him for the rest of this year and next. But there is a lot to be said about getting rid of the contract entirely, and the Bruins are going to be aggressive about doing that this deadline. The reason that teams are interested in doing this is those bottom of the NHL kind of teams would be able to collect quite a few picks and prospects from the Bruins, and maybe even have the Bruins retain some salary so they don't have to eat the full $6 million. When looking at teams that might be interested, quite a few names pop up from the bottom of the league's standings. Teams like the Ottawa Senators, the Detroit Red Wings, and the New Jersey Devils. These are teams with a lot of cap space that are looking to the future, so they will definitely be interested in acquiring draft picks and prospects. I would be fine if the Bruins do a deal with the Ottawa Senators, moving out David Backes with either a 1st or a 2nd round pick or a 3rd round pick and a prospect, and just getting rid of the money and then going after their 2nd line right winger in a totally separate deal. I think that would be the way to go, because you can't be worrying about this Backes money anymore. If you trade him out, it gives you space for the deadline, and it gives you space to sign players after this season, like Torrey Krug, Jake DeBrusk. You desperately need that money, and you don't want to do another buyout. After this season, the Bolesky money comes off, the Seidenberg money comes off. You're getting so much money back, you don't want to have this Backes money just sitting there for a few more years to come. You need to move on from this contract. So I would prefer if the Bruins are able to ship him out and ship out the full $6 million, or only retain just a little bit of that salary. That would be the way to go. But that's not the only option. They could look at adding David Backes onto the package that will get them a 2nd line right wing. Two teams that the Bruins could target, the Anaheim Ducks and the LA Kings. They are both rumored to be interested in adding a guy like Backes, or taking on the bad contract, I should say. So the Bruins are already interested in Tyler Toffoli and Andrzej Kasha. It's going to take a pretty large package to get those players. If you throw in David Backes along with the picks and players you are already getting rid of, maybe you can kill 2 birds, 1 stone. You add your 2nd line right winger, and you get rid of David Backes. The Anaheim Ducks have been popping up everywhere. If you look up David Backes, he's pretty much always linked to the Ducks, and Kasha has been one of the main targets for the Bruins for a long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see Backes in a 1st move for Kasha, or Backes in a 1st and a prospect. I'm not sure what the Ducks would be looking for, and that would all depend on how high the pick is, how good the prospect is, and how much of Backes' salary Anaheim is willing to take. So it's just something to think about here, as the Bruins are going to be really aggressive at this deadline. They're also going to look to move out David Backes and add That's all I got for you in this one. Do you think the Bruins will move on from David Backes at this trade deadline? What kind of deal would you like to see them make to get rid of that salary? Leave that down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big like, and if you haven't already, subscribe.